My week of experiencing a relationship swap with my best friend. Sweetie, can you help me check if this dress is particularly slimming? Lin Mo held up a red, figure-hugging dress and looked at me with eager eyes. Well, it is slimming, but for you, it's a bit too much. Your boyfriend He Yang will think you're going out just to attract flies. I teased. He? Lin Mo scoffed and walked into the fitting room with the dress in her arms. With his cold and distant attitude, there's no way he'd notice these things. He Yang only likes my face. I rolled my eyes helplessly, picking up another beige dress from the hanger and examining it. You should put more thought into it. He's so aloof, your relationship with him feels like a constant battle. Well, at least it's not like Cheng Yu, right? He's gentle, but way too clingy, like a housewife. Lin Mo shot back without mercy. I like it, that's all that matters. I smiled gently. Cheng Yu is indeed caring and thoughtful. Every time we meet, he prepares little surprises for me. Even something as simple as a cup of hot milk makes me feel happy. Lin Mo walked out of the fitting room, twirling in her high heels. She raised an eyebrow. No matter what, my love life is at least lively and interesting, unlike yours, which is just too steady and boring. We continued bickering, and after trying on the clothes, we decided to head to the newly opened Time Cafe to relax. Welcome, ladies. May I take your order? The coffee shop worker, wearing a vintage apron, greeted us with a smile. Anything you'd recommend? Lin Mo asked. Our house special is a favorite. Many customers like it, the worker replied. Then bring us 2 of those. Lin Mo decided with a snap. Soon, 2 cups of coffee were brought to the table. The smooth milk foam on top was sprinkled with a layer of chocolate powder, giving off a rich and sweet aroma. This looks pretty good. I raised my cup and clinked it with Lin Mo's. Maybe after drinking this, I'll end up like you, full of passion in my love life. Or maybe Cheng Yu will spoil you to the sky. Lin Mo laughed and took a sip. The taste of the coffee was strange, sweet and creamy, with a hint of bitterness. Just as I was about to complain, I suddenly felt dizzy, and the world around me seemed to blur as if it were being crumpled. Sweetie. A familiar voice called from nearby. I struggled to open my eyes and found myself lying on an unfamiliar bed. In the mirror beside the bed was a face that wasn't mine, Lin Mo's face. I sat up immediately, touched my cheek, and anxiously looked around. Lin Mo! I shouted, only to hear my voice echo from another direction, wake up! I turned my head and saw myself standing by the bed, looking panicked. Momo, what's going on? I opened my mouth, but my voice was high-pitched and unlike my own. Don't you get it? We swapped bodies. Lin Mo glared at me, grabbing me by the arm and pulling me off the bed. Are you joking? This can't be real. I shook my head violently, pinching my arm so hard that I almost screamed. Stop pinching yourself, it's not a dream. Lin Mo shook my shoulders. It must have been that cup of coffee. Coffee? I froze. What kind of place is that cafe? We frantically searched through our bags, trying to find an answer. Sure enough, there was a strange little note inside. It read, 1 week later, hearts will return to their rightful places. What does this mean? I frowned. Looks like we have to stay in each other's bodies for at least a week, Lin Mo sighed helplessly. What do we do now? I sat helplessly on the sofa. What else can we do? Just go along with it, or we'll be caught. Lin Mo said, calmly analyzing while searching through her phone. But I have no idea how you and He Yang interact. You two are always bickering. How am I supposed to play that role? I grabbed her hand in a panic. Simple. Remember, He Yang is cold and distant. Don't act too sweet or too nice to him, or he'll start suspecting something, Lin Mo said seriously. What about you? Cheng Yu is gentle and delicate. If you're too casual, he'll definitely notice. I countered. No problem. I'll just copy your soft, dependent style, Lin Mo said with a smug grin. After some back and forth, we finally came to an agreement. To avoid being discovered by our partners, we had to mimic each other as best as we could and play our roles well. Oh my god, this is going to be the weirdest week of my life, I muttered. On the first day, I put on Lin Mo's clothes, carried her small bag, and nervously went to meet He Yang. He was already sitting in the restaurant, wearing a dark shirt that highlighted his tall, slender figure, exuding his usual "don't approach me" aura. Lin Mo. He glanced up at me with a neutral tone. Oh, yeah. I forced a smile and sat across from him. Throughout the dinner, he didn't say much, but I could sense him noticing every awkward move I made. You seem a bit strange today, he suddenly said. No, nothing's wrong. Maybe I'm just tired from work, I swallowed nervously, pretending everything was fine. Meanwhile, Lin Mo was starting her sweetie-style date with Cheng Yu. She had to hide her straightforward personality and feign gentleness while doing pottery with him. Sweetie, this one's easy. Let me show you how. Cheng Yu patiently took her hand, guiding her to shape the clay. Lin Mo nodded, but inwardly she was complaining, this is way too delicate. How does Sweetie deal with such a slow pace? Yang, I'm here. I forced myself to play the role of Lin Mo, walking into the restaurant. From a distance, I could see Yang sitting by the window in his dark suit. His posture was straight, his long fingers lightly tapping on the edge of his cup, his expression calm with a hint of coldness. He looked up at me, his gaze scanning briefly before returning to his indifferent expression. Sit down. I sat down and tried to smile. What did you order for dinner? Everything you like, he said casually, handing me the menu, and added, if you want something else, just add it. His tone was calm, but I could tell from the details that he was being considerate. I silently thought to myself, as expected, his way of caring is typical for a straight-laced guy. He doesn't say much, but his actions give him away. Then I'll add a dessert, I casually suggested, ordering a brownie, which Lin Mo usually gets. Yang didn't object, not even glancing up. It's up to you. His attitude was as cold as always, and I started feeling a bit awkward. I began thinking about the high-cold boyfriend handling rules Lin Mo had taught me. So, I mustered up the courage and playfully tried to act cute. Hey, can't you ask me what I like to eat? He finally raised his eyes, his eyebrows slightly raised. I already know what you like. Is there still a need to ask? He said it as if it was the most natural thing in the world, even with a hint of quiet pride. I didn't respond immediately, but my heart inexplicably warmed. The tenderness he unwittingly showed beneath the cold exterior was truly irresistible. On the other side, Lin Mo was playing me, having a starkly different, gentle date with Cheng Yu. Sweetie, I know you've been busy lately, so I specially booked this pottery experience for us today, to help you relax, Cheng Yu said with a soft smile, looking at Sweetie with a gentle tone. Lin Mo sat on the chair, feeling somewhat uncomfortable. Cheng Yu, this really isn't necessary. I'm fine. It's okay, I'll teach you, Cheng Yu said as he took her hand and placed a soft ball of clay onto the spinning wheel. His hand gently covered hers, guiding her through the motions. Lin Mo instinctively tried to pull her hand back, but noticed that Cheng Yu hadn't let go, he just held it more firmly. He lowered his head to look at her, his voice soft but reassuring, don't be nervous, I'm here. Lin Mo had never experienced this kind of gentle care before. She felt her palm gradually heating up, and her face began to warm slightly. Cheng Yu's hands were long and strong, yet there was a reassuring strength in his touch. You really are quite meticulous, Lin Mo couldn't help but mutter quietly. Cheng Yu looked up at her, the corner of his mouth curving into a gentle smile, because you deserve it. Those words left Lin Mo momentarily stunned. Cheng Yu's gaze was so sincere, his feelings pure and untainted by any distractions. It made her involuntarily think of how happy Sweetie always looked. Yang wasn't either type to express himself with words, but his thoughtfulness often hid in the little details. During dinner, I accidentally spilled some red wine on my skirt and was frantically trying to clean it with a napkin. He glanced at me calmly, stood up, and asked the waiter for a glass of water and a clean cloth. Use this to wipe it off. The stain will lighten, he said, handing me the cloth in a way that left no room for refusal. You? Thank you, I said, unsure of what to say. His calmness and thoughtfulness somehow moved me. He then lowered his head and continued eating, as if nothing had happened. After the pottery session, Cheng Yu took out a planner from his bag and handed it to Sweetie. What's this? Lin Mo asked, confused. It's a collection of our moments together, Cheng Yu smiled. I know you like to record life, so I specially put this together. It has photos and little snippets from every trip and date we've had. Lin Mo opened the planner and instantly fell silent as she saw the photos, hand-drawn illustrations, and detailed descriptions. Sweetie, you're the most important person to me, and I want every day we spend together to be something worth cherishing, Cheng Yu said softly. Lin Mo couldn't help but think to herself, Sweetie's relationship is so warm and thoughtful. Although we were getting along better, we also had to face the difficult parts of adapting to each other's partners. He Yang's indifference sometimes left me unsure of how to approach him. For example, once I tried to casually ask about his hobbies, and he simply replied, "Don't you already know all that?" I couldn't help but complain to myself, how did Lin Mo manage to get along with him? But then I thought about the tenderness he'd unknowingly shown, and I realized that maybe he wasn't emotionless after all, he was just someone who used indifference to hide his feelings. Cheng Yu's gentle nature sometimes made Lin Mo feel a bit pressured. She was used to being straightforward, but now she had to maintain Sweetie's gentle girlfriend image as much as possible. "Sweetie, are you feeling down lately?" Cheng Yu asked, his eyes full of concern. Lin Mo paused for a moment, then quickly smiled and shook her head, "No, I'm fine." But Cheng Yu gently took her hand. "If something's bothering you, don't keep it to yourself. You can tell me." Lin Mo suddenly felt at a loss for words. She had never expected Cheng Yu to care for her in this way, and his gentleness stirred something in her heart. After several days of living in each other's shoes, Lin Mo and I began to adapt to our partners, and we started to experience love from different perspectives. Beneath He Yang's cold exterior, there was a meticulous and passionate soul. I began to understand that Lin Mo's relationship with him was fast, it was a collision of boldness and restraint. This kind of love had a beauty that was hard to put into words. Cheng Yu's thoughtfulness and tenderness made Lin Mo realize where Sweetie's happiness came from. She began to realize that, although Sweetie's life seemed plain on the surface, it was incredibly warm because of Cheng Yu's companionship. "You always know how to comfort people," Lin Mo said with a smile. "Because you are my whole world," Cheng Yu's response left her momentarily speechless. These sweet interactions plunged both Lin Mo and me into an emotional paradox. He Yang's deep affection made my heart flutter, but I wasn't sure if that feeling came from Lin Mo's body or my own emotions. Cheng Yu's tenderness made Lin Mo question, if I were Sweetie, would this kind of love make me even happier? The days of the soul swap had already passed for 6 days, and this incredible experience deepened our understanding of each other's partners, subtly changing our feelings. However, things weren't always that smooth. He Yang had always been calm, and he had noticed the changes in me. One day, during a date, he suddenly asked a question. "Lin Mo, is there something you're hiding from me?" His tone wasn't harsh, but his eyes were sharp like a knife, staring directly at me. "Huh." I tried to remain calm. "No, nothing." He was silent for a moment, his gaze lowering to look at my fingers. "The nail polish you're wearing today is the color you said you didn't like." I froze. Indeed, I had used Lin Mo's nail polish on a whim but forgot that Lin Mo had always despised that color. "Oh. I just wanted to try something new," I explained, forcing a smile. He didn't ask again, but his eyes remained fixed on me, as if waiting for a deeper answer. Meanwhile, Cheng Yu had also noticed something slightly off with Sweetie. He was a meticulous person, and it was hard for him to overlook the small details. "Sweetie, you seem a little different lately," Cheng Yu said after dinner one evening, his voice filled with concern. "How so?" Lin Mo tried to act casual. "Your way of speaking, the things you like, even your smile, they all seem a little different from before." He looked down at the teacup in his hand, his voice lowering. "Is it because I haven't been good enough?" Lin Mo was stunned, a complex mix of emotions rising inside her. Cheng Yu's care and love for Sweetie made her feel guilty, and she began to question whether she should continue hiding the truth. The turning point came on the 7th night. That evening, Lin Mo and I had planned to spend the last day together before the souls automatically returned to their rightful places. However, a sudden incident exposed our secret prematurely. He Yang spontaneously invited me to watch a play, and Cheng Yu had already booked a restaurant to invite Sweetie to dinner. To avoid being caught, Lin Mo and I decided to act as each other's partners for the evening. However, fate seemed unwilling to let us have an easy ending. As He Yang led Lin Mo into the theater, his gaze accidentally swept across the hall and landed on Sweetie walking closely beside Cheng Yu. His steps faltered, and then his gaze turned cold. "Lin Mo, come with me." "Huh, what's wrong?" I tried to play dumb, but he had already pulled me toward Cheng Yu and Sweetie. "Sweetie." Cheng Yu looked at Lin Mo with a confused expression. In that moment, the four of us stood face to face, and the air seemed to crackle with invisible tension. You? Yang spoke first, his gaze shifting between us as if trying to piece together some kind of truth. Lin Mo's face went pale, and she quickly forced a stiff smile. Oh, here's the thing. Under their sharp eyes, Lin Mo and I had no choice but to confess the truth about the soul swap. From the mysterious coffee at the beginning to the role-playing we had done throughout the week, we told them everything. So, you're Sweetie, and Lin Mo is pretending to be you. Cheng Yu looked at Sweetie, his tone filled with disbelief. Yes, I'm sorry, Lin Mo lowered her head. He Yang sneered, his hands in his pockets, looking down at me from above. So, I've been dealing with Sweetie these past few days. Yes, I'm sorry. My voice was so soft it was barely audible. Neither of them exploded with anger immediately. They stood there in silence for a long time. Cheng Yu's gaze was complicated and deep, while He Yang seemed even colder than before. In the following days, the four of us found ourselves caught in a subtle relationship. Our partners didn't immediately forgive us, but they didn't show intense anger either. It seemed like they were waiting for our sincere response. Sweetie, I need to know something. One day, Cheng Yu suddenly asked me to meet. He didn't scold me, but looked at me seriously and asked, during the days of the swap, did you notice anything different between you and me? I was taken aback, unsure how to answer. He gently took my hand. No matter who you are, I want you to know that my love for you has never changed. Those words made my nose tingle, and my heart was filled with emotion and guilt. He Yang's approach was completely different. He didn't ask many questions. Instead, during a walk one day, he suddenly spoke up. You're imitating Lin Mo, but you don't quite pull it off. Huh? I was a little flustered. But you have your own way of doing things, he said, looking down at me with a hint of subtle tenderness in his eyes. No need to pretend. His words made me freeze, and my heart involuntarily skipped a beat. A week later, we returned to the mysterious cafe, where the owner was already waiting. It seems you've both learned to appreciate each other's precious qualities, the owner said with a smile, handing us 2 cups of new coffee. Drink it, and your souls will return to their rightful places. When we returned to our own bodies, I looked at my familiar self and surprisingly felt a bit reluctant. Though the days had been short, they gave me a whole new understanding of He Yang and made me appreciate Cheng Yu even more. Welcome back, my sweetie, Cheng Yu said when he saw me, gently hugging me with warmth in his voice. I'm sorry. I whispered. It's okay, I just want you to know that I love you, no matter what happens, Cheng Yu softly said. He Yang, in his own way, expressed himself, Lin Mo, don't do something like this again. This time, I won't let you leave my life. After our souls returned to their rightful places, even though we were back in our familiar bodies, the wonderful experience had deeply changed our views on love, and we had a new understanding of our feelings for each other. Sweetie, you've been smiling more than usual lately, Cheng Yu gently said, handing me a cup of hot tea. Really? I softly lifted the teacup and looked up at him. Yes. Though this time has been strange, I'm glad it happened, Cheng Yu took my hand, his tone warm and sincere. Because it made me realize that you are my only one. My heart softened like melted butter. After the soul swap, I wasn't just moved by his delicacy and tenderness anymore. I now truly understood how much he cherished me, keeping me close to his heart. This wasn't just a smooth romance, but a reassuring sense of belonging. Since then, I started to express my feelings more actively, no longer afraid that Cheng Yu's care would burden me, but instead wholeheartedly responding to him. Don't you think this whole thing is absurd? Lin Mo stood on the balcony, looking up at the night sky, casually speaking. Absurd, He Yang's voice came from behind, still as indifferent as ever. Lin Mo pouted. Then why aren't you angry? He Yang walked over to her side, looked down at her, and smiled faintly. Because I don't want to waste time on things like this with you. His answer stunned Lin Mo, and his next words left her completely speechless. Lin Mo, I need you. You can be mischievous, you can be willful, but don't ever make me feel like you're going to leave at any moment. His voice was low and serious, and there was an unprecedented tenderness in his eyes. A warm feeling suddenly surged in Lin Mo's heart. She gently leaned on his shoulder and softly said, I won't leave. At that moment, Lin Mo understood, He Yang's love wasn't loud and showy, but quietly buried deep within him. Behind his indifference was an emotion that, though hard to express, was incredibly steadfast. After the soul swap, Lin Mo and I grew closer as friends. We couldn't help but bring up our magical journey, reminiscing and reflecting on the growth that the experience had brought us. Sweetie, you're probably lucky to have spent so much time so close to Yang, aren't you? Lin Mo teased. Well, maybe you'll be spoiled by Cheng Yu to the heavens. Lin Mo took a sip, smiling. True, with a man as gentle and delicate as him, only you deserve him. Lin Mo stuck out her tongue, but her eyes were full of contentment. From that point on, we cherished each other's presence even more. Whether it was love or friendship, this extraordinary experience deepened our understanding of life. One weekend, Cheng Yu and I invited Lin Mo and Yang to join us for a trip. For the first time, a double date for sparked new chemistry. Sweetie, Lin Mo told me you've recently regained your interest in desserts. Cheng Yu gently ordered a cake for me. It's all Lin Mo's fault, she always says I don't eat indulgently enough. I smiled at Lin Mo. Come on, you're the one copying me. Yang, don't you think so? Lin Mo pulled Yang's arm, looking triumphant. Yang glanced at her, then replied indifferently, say what you want. The four of us burst into laughter, with sunlight streaming across the table, and the atmosphere felt warm and bright. In that moment, I felt a true sense of happiness, one that came not just from love, but from friendship as well. Though the soul swap had ended, the changes it brought into our lives continued to grow. Cheng Yu still wrapped me in his tenderness, and I became more proactive in expressing my love for him. Yang started to show more direct concern for Lin Mo, and she also came to better appreciate his deep feelings. Sweetie, do you want to drink that coffee again next time? Lin Mo suddenly asked during afternoon tea, a mischievous smile on her lips. If you dare drink it, I'll join you. I laughed. We exchanged a glance, and laughter filled the air. No matter what the future held, we knew that this magical experience had become one of the most precious parts of our love and friendship.